I just don't do anticipation well.
That's a quote for the day, Dana. I don't do anticipation well.
Yes, yes.
You're listening to Sea to Sky podcast, For Sisters by Sisters with Marina Thompson and Dana Moreland. Brought to you by Sea to Sky alumni chapter of Alpha Omicron Pi.
I think Marina and I would love to have our guests introduce themselves, please, and tell us who you are, what your chapter of initiation was, where you are now, so that our listeners can get to either know you for the first time or be reminded of you.
Well, I'll go first. I'm Sara Chambers. I'm the president of the Alaska Alumni Chapter way up here in Alaska. I live in Juneau, and I was initiated at Chi Lambda, which is the University of Evansville, and then transferred to Rho Omicron, Middle Tennessee State University.
Sarah, would you like to tell us something about yourself that maybe not very many people know about you?
I used to front a rock band.
Oh,
So I'm a musician. My rock band days are over, but I used to front like a good old fashioned rock band. So there you have it. Fun facts.
Very cool. Did you know that Barb Zapirian, past international president, also used to sing in a rock band?
Oh my goodness. So now
Okay.
we're 2027 convention rock band. I'm sensing it.
Uh-huh.
My name is Rachel Ziegler. I was initiated at the Rho Delta chapter at Stanford University in 2012. Transferred my sophomore year to Georgia State University and affiliated with Gamma Sigma. Actually, one of my favorite things from convention was hearing that Sara Chambers also was an affiliate member. I feel like I don't get to meet many affiliate sisters, so that was refreshing and saying, "Oh my goodness, me too," which is awesome. So I live in Atlanta, right outside of Metro Atlanta. I live in Tucker, about 20 minutes from downtown. And yeah, I've been the Atlanta Alum president for the last 5 years. And something not a whole lot of people know about me is I have lived in every southern state except for Mississippi.
wow.
Wow.
We moved around a lot when I was growing up. So just every little pocket of the Southeast I've lived in, but not Mississippi. Traveled there for work plenty of times, but that's the only southern state I have not lived in.
So you've tried all the variations on barbecue and coleslaw.
Oh, yes, yes. I can make you a top 10 list of my favorites and the whole bit. North Carolina barbecue is definitely vinegar based. I think it's supreme.
Yeah, agree.
I'm Ginger Banks. I'm past international president of AOPI. It's difficult for me to get the words out of my mouth, but I've been a past international president since 1985, which was a few years ago. It's just amazing to me how many years ago that really was. But I'm a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin. I was initiated at our chapter there, and it just couldn't survive after I graduated. I'm sorry to say. It went off campus, I think, in about 1973 or around in there. But anyway, I'm a native of Austin. I just moved out of the house I'd lived in for nearly 50 years into a wonderful two-bedroom, two-bathroom apartment in a retirement community. I'm on the fifth floor and have a great view of the hills west of Austin.
Oh,
And I'm proud to say that my 13-year-old dog and I have adapted to apartment life. And we're very happy we made the move, although the last 5 months were just crazy busy and getting ready for that. And had a trip to Italy in the meantime and a trip to the AOPI convention in the meantime. And so it's been pretty wild. I was trying to think of something that few people know about me, and it's hard to come up with anything because I think my life is such an open book. But Sarah, I was glad you mentioned that you were in a rock band. I was never in a rock band, but for my high school graduation to myself, I bought a baritone ukulele, and I never was very good at it, but it was a big comfort to me. And so the first year I was a traveling secretary of ELC for ALPI, I carried it with me for about the first 4 months. After that, I left it with a friend in Atlanta. It was just a little much to take with me, but my roommate in college was a music major, and her instrument was a cello. And somehow she never did invite me to perform with any of their recitals.
Barb and I can fit a ukulele into our rock show at convention. I'm
That
certain of.
sounds good. Well, I also play the kazoo, but the problem with that is it's typically out of tune.
But good vibes.
I'm loving all of the stories and all of the plans for future conventions.
Look out, world.
AOPI Rock Band coming up. Well, speaking of convention, all three of you attended the 2025 International Convention, and we're really excited to hear about some of the highlights from your experience this year. Would you like to share any insights for all of us who couldn't make it this time around?
I can jump in. And Marina, you were definitely missed. And of course, all of our sisters listening who weren't there were absolutely missed. This convention was unique for me. It was my first AOPI convention in 30 years.
Oh,
I had attended 1995 in Scottsdale when I was a chapter advisor for Chi Lambda for a little while. And so it shocked me that I hadn't been to convention in 30 years. And it was absolutely amazing. I think, I mean, I could talk for hours about the impact convention has had on me. I think that overarching, it was, and I've told this to friends and family who, especially who are not Greek and haven't been through the Greek experience, is that there were 600 women gathered together for several days, and there was not a cross word, there was not a side glance, there was not a negative thought, feeling, vibe. I mean, it was so positive. And in our day and age, where do we get that level of energy? Where do we get that? I'm so happy to see you. My heart is happy to see you, even with women we've never personally met, which was the case for me, because again, sort of getting back into AOPI after a little, break, not intentional, but, life, raising children and getting back into it, just the overwhelming positivity and encouragement of sisters and just the watching women's faces light up when they're engaging with each other in so many different ways and different occasions. That was just my overarching takeaway, and I think it speaks volumes to what the Greek experience, what the sorority experience can be like for women who, invest in it and continue on.
Sarah, this is Ginger, and I'm glad you said that because as I said, the last 5 months were really crazy for me getting ready for my move. And my mom died February 26th, and I'm executor of her estate. And a month after she died was when I got the opportunity for this apartment. And boy, the dominoes really started falling then. And I was talking with my cousin's wife about everything I had coming up, and I'd hesitated to go ahead and make plans to accept the apartment, but I did for a lot of reasons. And when I was going through the list of things I was going to be doing during the next few months and before the move, I mentioned the AOPI convention. And Florence said, "Well, you don't really have to go to that, do you?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I do." When I was working full time at the State Bar of Texas, many times our annual meeting was at the same time as the AOPI convention, and I would get special dispensation to attend just part of the State Bar convention so I could go to the AOPI convention. And it's been an important part of my life ever since I graduated from college. So even though it was going to be a crazy, crazy 5 months, being gone for a week to the AOPI convention was not something I was going to cut out. And as it turned out, not only did it work out well, but it was a great respite for me because I
Mm-hmm.
was able to think of a lot of other things other than money and selling houses and executing an estate and all that kind of thing. So it was very therapeutic for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I totally underscore what you said, Sarah, about the harmony and the great feeling that permeated the whole event.
Thank you, Ginger. It just really underscored the sense of belonging that is core to AOPI, that everyone there belonged.
Yeah, it felt like a big reunion for me. And I was, and Dana knows this, I almost didn't get to make it. I was in the ER 24 hours before even getting on the plane to go out to convention and
Oh my
text you asking
goodness.
me a question. I was texting her. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, if hopefully they're going to let me travel. And thank goodness I did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was one of the things I was like, I have been looking forward to this for 2 years. And just, with being involved as an alumna and getting in different pockets of volunteering, you make so many friends over Zoom.
Yep.
And every 2 years, it's when you get to see everybody. And I had been looking forward to that for so long. And just the fulfillment I got just for 4 days at convention was absolutely amazing. I didn't eat dinner with my core friend group or lunch or anything. I kind of bounced around and got to eat with everybody, which was really cool. I got to see one of my really good friends get elected to executive board. I got to see fantastic mentors reelected and elected to the foundation board. Lots of personal highlights as well. Got to see somebody that I mentored and advised at Lambda Sigma get the Perry Award, which was a really big highlight as well. And yeah, just really looking forward to the next convention. And so thankful just for all the new friends I made and just continued relationships, and definitely miss a lot of sister time. I got a text from Dana yesterday saying, "Hey, I miss you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's already really been a month."
There was something really incredible about this convention. I know when I got back to work the Monday after, I was giving some of my colleagues a recap, and they were like, Dana, you are just glowing. My cup was so full. There was, I think, because for convention, there was a smaller contingent this time, I think, for a variety of reasons. And that made it feel almost like a boutique experience of convention. And I found that I brought that energy and excitement and contentment back to other aspects of my life too, as well as my various AOPI projects. So there was something really special. And 2 years is just too long to be apart. I've got to figure something out there.
2026 in Alaska, Dana. I think we already
Okay.
decided that.
Yeah, I think we did. I hope that I have the opportunity to serve the foundation again as a foundation ambassador, because that gives me such a great reason to visit chapters and share with them about the foundation's good work. And yeah, so fingers crossed, that gives me an extra good excuse.
Well, and Sarah, when you and Rachel and Dana were talking about the good vibes at convention, what created that? I mean, aside from the good old sisterhood aspect. But one thing that occurred to me about this convention, I think they did some very innovative things which we hadn't seen at previous conventions. And
Mm-hmm.
I think all the people who were the event planners just thought of so many special things. I mean, even the photo booths and the photo
Mm-hmm.
opportunities and the opportunity to go by and get your photo made. But another thing they did this time that I thought was really good was they had a first timers coffee. And I
Mm-hmm.
heard some people mention that they had been to that, and it was really good because I think that was maybe the first day of convention or early on to give people an opportunity to kind of share information and any trepidations they had about going to this big meeting. I thought that was really good. And another thing that was different this time was they had greatly streamlined the awards presentations. And there
Mm-hmm.
was even a joke about don't come up to the podium to receive your award. And
Mm-hmm.
this time they greatly expedited that. And also they had a reception right after some of the awards were presented. I think they called it the Hall of Distinction dessert reception, and just lots of innovative things. I think that it was evidence that a whole lot of thought and consideration went into the planning of convention. They didn't exactly just depend on the playbook that they had used previously. I think they really enhanced it in a lot of ways.
I
Yeah,
agree.
our fraternity staff did an amazing job.
Yes.
I mean, it really almost felt like I was in an influencer event, and everybody kind of felt that way too. But yeah, it was beautiful. Like every little personal touch at meal times and desserts and photo booths and just all the special little touches, like our staff really did a great job with.
Oh, you're talking about the little touches. Which was I think it was a luncheon where they distributed scarves and
Yes.
sunglasses, and it seemed like every meal had some favors or little trinkets you could take home with you to remind you of it. It made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I use my water bottle every day. I wear my scarf to work and other outings a couple times already too.
And let the record show those were Texas-sized water bottles.
Alaska size? No, wait, they were small, so they're Texas size.
Ah.
Oh, Ginger, I just went there.
I'm curious to hear from all of you, what's a takeaway that you have been sharing, either with your alumni chapter, other area sisters, whomever you've been connecting with?
I think just the fun that we had. What I really enjoyed too is our education sessions. I think the NSLE team especially did a fantastic job of getting us all connected, letting us hear from different chapters just on what worked for them and worked for others. Just because, for example, virtual programming doesn't work for everybody. Just having a monthly event doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
Doing different community service and supporting the foundation and the arthritis foundation looks very different for everybody, but seeing some new ideas in ways that we can all work together collectively to be more innovative. I feel like there was a big emphasis on that this time.
I have to agree with Rachel. This is Sara. The equipping was really strong. And thanks again to our NSLE team, Dana and ladies, you all are amazing. The takeaways being challenged, seeing the tools, hearing from other women. I mean, even outside of the excellent educational sessions that we're being challenged, we're getting some examples. We're seeing what our leadership is rolling out for us and ways that will help us. But even just in the downtime when we're trying to get our technology to work before business sessions, we're sitting with women that we maybe haven't sat with before. And we're talking. I mean, Rachel and I were kind of in proximity, and we were all talking about, what's your chapter doing and what are some challenges and what are some things that you're working on. And there was just the networking, sharing practical tips and ideas, and just, as leaders commiserating a little bit about, what is my challenge for my chapter, and what do you have to offer? And everybody was so generous in sharing. And I've seen that since convention as well. Many of us who were in the NSLE educational track, many of us chapter presidents, alumni chapter presidents, we've kept in touch and are talking about celebrating, like,
That's
hey, we
great.
started an Instagram account, or hey, we're trying this and we're doing something new and getting out there. And so I'm seeing that practical effects again, not just from the sisterhood and having, 100 new friends on Facebook and Instagram since then, but just the practical, how do we support each other as alumni chapter presidents and as leaders in the organization?
And I think that's the big thing too, is you could be an award-winning chapter, or you could have like a huge group of chapters, but some of the best tips and innovations and really like the core sisterhood moments are coming from some of our smaller groups that have really kind of figured out across generations how to keep everybody connected. It's really just valuable hearing those experiences.
Yeah, that collaboration, because we have so much strength in our alumni engagement activities, and then that collaboration piece, bringing people together, has been something that the NSLE team has really focused on, both in 2023 and then in 2025. Because I think back to when I was an alumni president, where did I get my best ideas? From my peers. And so I'm so happy to hear that spirit of collaboration, not only that you felt it, you experienced it, but you're still seeing it. I've been chatting with a lot of my alumni presidents that I work with as they're preparing for their new year. And I love hearing them say the things that were shared in the education track. So that's very exciting.
Well, I thought Sarah and Rachel did a great job of highlighting the takeaways, and you kind of took the words out of my mouth too, because when I was thinking about that question, I thought that a huge takeaway I had was that we all need to be innovative in connecting with members in lots of ways that are different and not just rely on the same media. And I think it's important to note that not all people communicate in the same ways. And it's important to remember that a lot of us older alumni aren't into the tech as much as some other people are. So it's important for everybody to be connected in whatever way works for those individuals. And I think that's a real challenge for all groups to figure that out because we've all become so reliant on the technical things. And thank goodness we have them. They're just wonderful. But not everybody is technically savvy. So I think we have to be careful to cover all the bases.
And I think, Ginger, that's so insightful. And I think that goes back to what Dana brought up earlier about culture. We're a diverse organization and we want that diversity. We want to continue to cultivate different ways of expressing sisterhood and expressing ambition and expressing our values and our ends, and to be able to do that in such a variety of ways is important. And I think to bring it back to convention, I think Ginger, you said it really well, that there were so many different ways to connect, and there were so many different like little hidden moments, like little Easter eggs to talk about technology and video games. Little hidden things are called Easter eggs. And I know this because I have teenage boys, but these little hidden moments, these little gems that were all around convention. And it just highlighted that sometimes we connect in a business session on this macro level, on a very professional level. And sometimes we connect when we're in a hallway squealing and hugging each other. And I saw a collegian I hadn't seen since I was a freshman in college, and we all had those experiences on different levels and in different ways. And sometimes it's the learning, and sometimes it's just getting a little note in your mailbox, and that just highlights the diversity of learning and the diversity of communication and the diversity of age and experience, and where we all are in the organization, whether you're a esteemed past international president, whether you're a wide-eyed collegian. There's just something for everyone in AOPI, and this convention really pulled all that together.
Yeah, and I really hope our collegians got to see that, like kind of see that worldview of like what AOPI, like how it extends beyond your collegiate chapter, and just the friendships that you can make that can last for decades. So I really hope that kind of got through to them that this is not just for 4 years, it's really is for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Sarah, you and Rachel just put that really, really well. And I think another example of that, when we got the question about what was one of your highlights of convention, I was going to say the business sessions, but I thought, oh boy, then I'd really be classified as a nerd. But, I've loved the business sessions that we have at our conventions for the reason that it doesn't matter what your office is. It doesn't matter what your experience is. Everybody who's a member of council and a delegate to that meeting is welcome and encouraged to speak. And if it's your first convention or your 28th convention, your opinion is encouraged and respected. And I thought the deliberation we had about engraving on the backs of badges was a prime example of that. Probably to some people who were attending, and I started to say witness, but was a part of that conversation, thought, oh boy, this is just really ridiculous. I thought it was fantastic because it was one of the few times during the business sessions when uh, collegians and alumni alike were motivated to stand up and speak and offer their opinions. And not only did it show the democratic process that we've always had, but it also demonstrated that everyone's opinion matters. And I know I'm a nerd, but I kind of get goosebumps when I think about that because it really is true. And I think maybe a job that all of us have after having attended convention is encourage that sort of respect and encouragement and acceptance throughout the fraternity.
Ginger, I'm with you. So if liking the business sessions makes you a nerd, you and I are together on that. I always enjoy the business sessions because for a variety of reasons, some of which you touched on. It's where we take care of the business of the fraternity for the next 2 years. And I think that that's really crucial. And to your point, that members, every member of council has one voice. I mean, we each get to have our own voice and we get a vote. And I think that that's really crucial too. I am very proud of our democratic heritage within AOPI and that collegiate and alumni together are members of council. And yeah, and that it demonstrates for both our collegiate and our alumni chapters how to conduct a formal meeting. I mean, goodness knows we don't have that level of discussion typically in our alumni chapters and not often in our collegiate chapters, but seeing parliamentary procedure well used is a good life lesson for all of us. I always like the business sessions, except for if they cut into free time, and they didn't this year because it was
That's
so
right.
smooth and so efficient. It was really great.
And grace too.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a variety of sisters, have something on their hearts and on their minds and struggle with the Robert's rulesness of it all. And Susan and Sally and Kim all handled it with grace and just realizing like let's keep our eyes on the big picture, that we're here for the betterment of the fraternity and for making decisions that are going to have a lasting positive impact. And we need to take it slow. We need to understand we may need to have 20, 30 more minutes of conversation about something to make sure that everybody gets it and has been able to express what's on their hearts. And I know that for our chapter in Alaska, when we had our chapter meeting after the call went out and we went through, painstakingly and talked about all of the things that were going to be brought up in the business meeting. We identified an area that a motion that we thought could be refined and reached out to Dana, who helped us with that process, and reached out to Marina and Sea to Sky and asked for, as another sort of decentralized chapter, how would this affect you? And everyone came together behind the scenes ahead of time to
Mm-hmm.
help me understand as the person who would be bringing it to the floor. Sally and Kim were also super gracious in helping, work through the process to help minimize confusion on the floor. So it really was a well-oiled machine, even weeks before the convention. And I think that helped to build my confidence, even though I'm very comfortable with Robert's rules, types of situations. Again, it was a little intimidating, but it was very welcoming. And the other sisters who spoke either for or against, everyone was given that opportunity to have a well-reasoned argument. And it was really great learning. And Ginger, I appreciate how you mentioned that was a good model for collegians, because those collegian chapter presidents, having been one myself, it's hard to try to train your group on here's how to run a meeting, how to make your meeting effective, how to be effective as an organization. And I know AOPI gives a lot of training and equipping to collegiate leaders, but it was just another example of how for a lifetime, this is how we care for each other in the future of our fraternity. While looking back to the history, there were so many points, our motion included, where, Stella's words or the founding intent was brought up, and it just kind of linked generations of AOPI together And I think to your point, Ginger, that's why it wasn't a boring business meeting. It was a fantastic business meeting, and there was humor and there was grace and there were ways that we just kind of rise above when technology's given us fits and come together as a fraternity.
All of this reminds me of my very first business meeting in my collegiate chapter, as a member, as an initiated member. And I was just in awe of the president then, just following Robert's rule. And like it was my first introduction to it. And Lambda Epsilon was only 2 years old when I joined. And I just like was like, wow, this sounds very formal and very proper. And then when I went to convention in 2019, it was the same. It was the next time I felt that really structured conversation. And like the president, Courtney, she was really good at kind of pulling the meeting back together. If there's said conversation, she was really graceful at shutting it down. So I think that's like when I'm while I'm listening to you speak, that's where my mind went. Like the very first time I was introduced to Robert's rule and it was done properly, and then I went to an international business meeting and I witnessed it again, and it was kind of kind of a great feeling being part of something really big. What was the most impactful moment during the 2025 International Convention for each of you?
Well, I'll chime in on this, being the shy person that I am. I hope this doesn't come across as being egotistical because I look at it in a broader sense than just because it involved the past international presidents. Um, this time at a dinner, each past international president had the opportunity to select some collegiate chapter presidents to sit at a table with her for dinner. And I thought that was a great touch because each of us was able to invite chapter presidents from chapters we had visited or chapters we had installed or somehow I had some connection with. So that was really great because I think we talked earlier about connections, and for the collegians to have that opportunity to be able to share a meal and just chat with a past international president, and I thought was fantastic. And it was great for the PIPs, the past international presidents too, to have that opportunity with collegians, because a lot of times collegians aren't inclined to approach us. And it was great. And then another part of that was after that dinner, we all went out in the hallway and the staff had prepared autograph books. Somebody kept comparing it to having autograph books at Disney World and having the Disney characters sign them. Well, I guess you could call the Pips characters, but that was fabulous too because, well, first of all, the autograph books were just so well done. And
Mm-hmm.
second of all, people, we were able to connect with people on a very informal, fun, uninhibited kind of way. And it was a lot of fun for the Pips, and it was so much fun to hear the comments that people made when they came up. But I just thought that was another nice touch that the planners of convention had. And Sally Wagaman talked about, she's past national president. She said at her first convention, she was seated at a table with Mary Louise Roller, who was a past national president and was the first AOPI to chair the National Panhellenic Conference. And Mary Louise had a very, shall we say, imposing aura about her. And, most collegians probably just wouldn't think to go up and strike up a conversation with her. So Sally Wagaman, a past international president, is talking about that when she was a collegian. And I'm sure that attitude or perspective is pervasive today and probably doesn't apply just to collegians. It may apply to alumni too. So anyway, I thought those two aspects of that evening really helped build bridges and in a very comfortable, fun, um, uh, what venue or circumstance or whatever. And oh yeah, they served desserts too during that time. So um, all the way around, I thought that was very good. And one thing, very quickly, I want to point out, and I tried to point this out to people when we were signing autographs. The autograph book that we were given had a page for each international president with her picture and the years that she served and her signature. And there were several, I think four pips that couldn't be at convention, and the staff had found copies of their signatures that they included in the autograph book. So I was telling people right and left, look, this is really Joan's signature. Look, this is really Mary's. It's not like a staff member trying to imitate it. They actually included their signatures, even though
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't be there. And talk about a thoughtful, nice, generous
Mhm.
touch. I thought that was just a beautiful thing too.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that the collegians had the opportunity to. I didn't know that that had happened, and I'm so delighted to hear that. My first convention was as a collegiate president, and there were so many aspects of that experience that really had profound impact on me. And one of them was that at two different meals, I got to sit with past international presidents and meet them. And one was Nan McCain,
Oh,
and the other one was Wilma Smith Leland.
oh my goodness.
Hmm. And so to get to interact with these very different personalities, but both of whom very dynamic, strong, inspiring women. And here I am, a brand new AOPI, and to meet them at that point, it was an incredible opportunity. So I'm so pleased to hear that that's being revived and that past international presidents are having a time when they're specifically seated with collegiate presidents. That's really great.
Mhm.
We thought so too.
Hmm. Yeah, that needs to continue.
I definitely miss the pip storytelling compared to past conventions, but I thought it was really cool that on our second night, our pips that were attending, they went through the history of AOPI. And
Hmm.
I think that was important too. We got to remember that these were ladies that were juniors and seniors in college, and they were nearing their time at the very end of their collegiate careers. And the most impactful work that they did was as alumni, and just different things about just how we have grown and how we have just thrived. Just hearing that, like, and just so much information like I had never heard before, and fun facts. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a really cool experience. So
Mhm.
getting to hear that was really really cool. But would definitely have loved to hear Pip's storytelling as well. But
Rachel, I'm so glad you said that. Do you know that when the Pips were approached about using that format of going through the history, we kind of balked because in the past it had always been us, telling little stories about ourselves and, oh yeah, about each other. And, it was a real personal kind of rendition. And this time it was a history lesson. And we were afraid it would come across as if we were just sitting up there reading a book to 600 people. But thankfully, again, the staff did a great job and had some visual accompaniment with old pictures and things like that really helped. And we were so pleased that uh, afterwards we got comments from people that said they really enjoyed it, and especially
yeah.
I think the collegians did. So
Hmm.
we were very, very relieved and also very pleased that people got out of it, I think, what was the intent.
Yeah,
I
and
thought that.
unless you have the Centennial book or you've gone through the website and pulled up the PDF and read through things,
Mhm.
there's a lot of AOPI history that a majority of our sisters didn't know. So it was so nice just hearing the rendition.
And it was neat too, because when the Pips got that script, we learned things from, facts about AOPI history that we hadn't known before. And I think that's a real testament again to Mary Ellen Sassoon and Crystal Combs, who I think put that script together, that they really dug deep for a lot of
Mhm.
information. So I thought it was well done.
I thought it was so impactful. It was it was a great way to present the history of AOPI and hear it from the voices who helped make history within AOPI. And I wish it had been taped. I really do, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
something that I would love to be able to show, like at Founders Days
Yeah.
and other meaningful events. It was incredibly well done.
That was absolutely impactful, even as an alum. And I think it again speaks to kind of one of the themes I think this particular podcast is picking up on is our, differences are being united among how different we all are, and going back over 100 years, those collegians and can see themselves in our founders through that presentation. And we can see like we have all of these generations separating us from our founders, but we're still super connected, and what they've built is durable. What they built back then lasts today, and it impacts women of all ages today, whether you're just, a new member, or you're in leadership like we are, and you're trying to lead and share that impactfulness with your chapters. That was really amazing. Another area that I thought was amazing was the foundation luncheon.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, I didn't know a lot of the details that were presented at the foundation luncheon. And the fact that we raise a ton of money to help with scholarships and the Ruby Fund, but a ton of money for juvenile arthritis. But then also the video about the clinic for the children. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
about the clinic, and we may not think about it every day. Like the average AOPI may not think about juvenile arthritis every day, but those children do. And they're looking at their panda every day, and they're thinking about us, even if they don't realize it. They're thinking about, somebody reached out and softened their medical experience and relieved them from the fear, and came alongside them and showed that they cared and that they're seen. And that really struck me when I went through Rush back then. AOPI was my top choice, and it was my top choice for a variety of reasons. But one was that Chi Lambda was authentically about philanthropy and academic excellence and integrity and loving each other. And our foundation work as a fraternity really shows that. And so that's something that I feel challenged as an alum chapter president, is to bring that back in some way to our chapter, which again is not a fundraising powerhouse because we're small and hard to do things in person. But that's one of my personal challenges I'm putting out there for everybody to hear, is that I want us to make a deeper commitment to philanthropy as an alum chapter, but also to learn about our philanthropy and to learn about what good AOPI does, whether it's to help a sister in need or whether it's to help pursue a cure and help make these children's lives a little bit easier. And thank you to all of our sisters who do support the foundation in those ways. Just amazing to me. And that's what it's all about. It's all about service. We can love the branding and love the sisterhood and love the hugs and love the bracelets we made. But at the end of the day, it's about giving back and about service to others and to each other in those deep ways.
Our discussion today already has me excited for Convention 2027. And all of you are experienced now with convention as well. What tip would you share with two different audiences? One is first timers. If it's somebody's first time convention, what would you tell them as your top tip? And then for those who are returning convention attendees, what's your top tip for them?
I think I would say the same thing to both groups, and that is be present.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, I mean, I thought at this convention, there was far less people keeping their noses in their electronic devices
Mm-hmm.
than I might have anticipated. But I think it's a tendency that all of us have nowadays with our iPads and our phones and everything to keep our eyes on the phones and not on what's going around about us. And especially when it's an event that only happens every 2 years, and I think we all agree it's a very special event. It's really important to be present and just drink it all in and use whatever you can. And the other thing I would suggest is don't be afraid to mix and mingle. I know the tendency is if I'm attending a convention with four chapter sisters or whatever, we're going to tend to eat together and we're going to tend to go to events together. Well, you can be together in your chapter. So
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of this opportunity to branch out and get acquainted with lots of other AOPIs, and not only to get acquainted with them at convention, but carry it forward by getting their contact information and building your own personal network of resource people and friends. So I would say be present, mix and mingle, get contact information, and use it after convention.
Great tips.
That's actually a perfect segue from mine. I think for definitely first time attendees, like don't be afraid to go meet people. We're all
Mm-hmm.
AOPA sisters. We all share the same ritual. We all share the same core values. It's the easiest way to go and meet people. I think what I really enjoyed this time is just seeing a lot of that, just people seeing a random seat at a lunch table and going and sitting down. We had a alum chapter president sit with us Saturday during the Goes Blue lunch, and she just randomly sat down, didn't know about anybody at the table, gave everybody a friendship bracelet, and just started talking like she'd been friends with us for a long time, which is
Yay.
definitely the power of sisterhood. And then definitely for returning members, don't be afraid to expand outside your friendship circle. I
Mm-hmm.
unintentionally did that this time. Didn't have any plans going in with that I was going to try to sit with a different group of people and everything. It just happened to turn out that way. Came out of convention with many new friends, a lot of different contact information, and just a better appreciation of what collectively we all do as a sisterhood.
And I'm just going to have to echo what Rachel and Ginger said. I mean, my advice would be the same to both groups, which is lean into it. This is an opportunity as a launch for what's next, for the future, for your own personal growth in AOPI, for your relationships, for your chapter, growing your chapter, being sort of out of the inner sanctum for 30 years. I had friends that I knew virtually, but knew almost nobody there in person. And so I had a lot of opportunity to say hi. And I wanted to be sure to meet our international president. And when I saw her at one of the social, after party things, and I just said, hi, I just wanted to introduce myself and meet you and say hello. She acted like we were the oldest friends in the
Mm-hmm.
world. And she was so excited to meet me. And I'm like, little old me, you don't, nobody knows me here. But that's just the power, like Rachel said, of sisterhood and ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now all of you on the call, just being able to be connected and so many other sisters, and like, how do we deepen our bonds? How do we deepen our relationships? How do we take what we learned, whether it was a practical tip, whether it was just getting someone's email address, and how do we build on that? Because that's the future of our fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Well
of
said.
I think of 20-year-old Rachel who went to gosh, it was Leadership Institute in 2014 for the first time. And I think I went with and sat with Mary Faith Gregory when she was chapter president at Beta Zeta. And got to catch up with her like we were old friends this past time, and we were reminiscing on like, oh my goodness, if we had only known what we knew back then and where we would end up. Just it's so cool to think back to that.
Yeah. And I want to underscore so many of the important themes that you all brought up. Being present is absolutely crucial to really have that full experience, both for yourself and if you're a representative for whichever group you're representing, because you want to bring some of that magic back and share it with them. Certainly get out there and mix and mingle. And yes, you're going to have the opportunity to have lunch or dinner with your chapter sisters anytime. Challenge yourself to meet somebody new. Something I threatened to do and I didn't for the women from Northern Nevada. I threatened to make a bingo card. And by threatened, I mean, I joked, really. It wasn't like really a threat. But I did think about making a bingo card, like meet a sister who is this or that. And I think I will do it next time around for both collegiate and because we did have a significant number of both collegiate and alumni women from our little region that attended. And then, give them a prize for who had the most diverse bingo
Great
card.
idea.
I
Love
think
it.
I will do that. And then also my wish, my hope, desire is that for sisters who are delegates to council to prepare in advance, read the call, ask questions, be prepared, so that one, you feel comfortable talking about the issues in front of council, and because so many of the most fruitful conversations about what's in the call are going to occur in the pre-work, the run-up to convention, and that's when you can fine-tune things. Whether it's your understanding or wording, anything like that. As someone who was a co-sponsor of 4 amendments this time around, I had the opportunity, so many different chapters and groups. Dana, would you come and talk to our group a little bit? And not just myself, but other members of the NSLE team who co-sponsored the amendments. And that was an incredible experience. I know we're hitting the right notes because over half of the alumni chapters who were represented at convention this year had some sort of meeting to discuss the call, and it takes different forms. And I think that that's so crucial. And so that is definitely one of my tips too. And if you as our listeners, as you are preparing for convention 2027, if you want to know how those meetings can look, there's no set formula, but certainly lean into one of your network specialists, whichever network you're a part of, and ask. And again, as we mentioned, Kim Carroll, the CERC chair, and Sally Wagaman, our parliamentarian, can give you feedback and insight as well. But prepare, prepare, prepare. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to be more knowledgeable. You're going to get to know and establish new sisters or new to you sisters, and establish relationships that you might not have had otherwise. And you don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to. Just understand try to understand all the different perspectives so that you are an informed voter.
Good advice.
Thanks. It's one of my
I'd like to.
soapbox. Yes, be an informed voter in life as well.
I like to second what Dana said. We did have, I was president of Toronto Alum Chapter, and that's when I went to my first convention, and I was really excited to share the call with the chapter and get their opinion because I read through it and I'm like, I have no idea. Like that shouldn't be me who's voting. It should be the chapter who's voting. And we had a meeting in my apartment with my crazy dog, Rue, who's a sweetheart, but she's just so excitable. And everyone had such a good time. But we talked about all of the components in the call and all of the candidates for leadership and all of these things. And we had a great conversation that I could then bring to the floor. And I was at my first convention and I felt comfortable enough to speak to an issue because I had that preparation ahead of time. And I really tried to bring that to Sea to Sky. And I'm so grateful to Dana and Rhonda for being available to come and talk to us and explain why some of the amendments were the way they were. And Sarah and Chantal and I also met at a different time to talk about the wording of an amendment and make sure that
Mhm.
chapters like Alaska and Sea to Sky are not excluded or
Mhm.
disadvantaged in unintentionally. So yeah, being prepared, I think, is so important.
Yeah, it's crucial. It's crucial.
I think it's
Okay,
part of the
well,
responsibility. And if you're going to be on council and you're going to be voting, it's part of
Hmm.
your responsibility. And that, like we said earlier about parliamentary procedure, just bringing the call to your chapter and at least giving them an opportunity to share in the responsibility, because it is every sister's job to be, take a part of that, take a piece of that. And there's joy in it, as we've discussed earlier,
Hmm.
joy in the process and joy in the outcome. And again, if you're leaning into all of the things, then you're going to have a really rich tapestry of experience at convention, which I know we all did and are thrilled today to be able to share that with you. And thanks to Marina and Dana for organizing.
Oh, absolutely. Great idea. And you two are great moderators too.
I just want
It's
to
a
slide
joy.
in. Speaking of moderators, I'm just going to take up some more of our time, but I just want to slide in and say that in that meeting with Dana and Rhonda ahead of convention, it was on Zoom, and we had members who are not typically able to come to events who joined us because they deeply care about the AOPI experience and AOPI in general, but
Hmm.
right now they're in in a situation where they have other focus and they're not able to come to the fun stuff, but they made sure to be there for the business. And I think that's also incredible because we always say that engagement takes all sorts of forms. And I think
Hmm.
that was a really good example of that. Um, I was just impressed with our attendance to that meeting, and we recorded it and put a link to the video out to the rest of the members. But we had a much better turnout than I had anticipated, and it was such a great feeling.
Hmm. Our membership knows that their opinions and thoughts really do matter and that they really count, that enhances engagement with the fraternity as a whole.
Hmm. All right. So all of you have shared that this convention was incredibly well planned, and the kudos to the events team and kudos to the staff. Um, but I'm wondering, is there anything that you didn't see in this convention that you would like to see next convention, or maybe you saw it in this convention, you would like to see more of it in future conventions?
I think just more time to gather together and just
Mm-hmm.
have fellowship is a big thing. Like, and what I really enjoy about convention is it does not feel like networking. It feels like you're catching up with old friends, you're meeting for
Mm-hmm.
new forever friends. And then giving more opportunities for that, especially for people that are returning people that want to catch up and see different pockets of their friends that they don't get to see every so often. I think having more time for that is definitely helps enhance our experience. Otherwise, it was planned fantastic. Like I had the best time. I'm still talking about how much fun I had at convention.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't have any tips on what could make it better. I think that, um, as we have said, it was thoroughly planned, it was thoughtfully planned, it had fun stuff, it had serious stuff, it had an initiation, it had candle lighting and opening and closing rituals. And so I thought everything was just fantastic.
I would have liked more time with our NSLEs. I mean, I feel like I got a lot of quality time with them just because of our various ways we were connecting, and being having a round table at one of the events. But as alumni chapter presidents and as other alumni leaders were there, I think just having even more opportunity to sit down and really talk about best practices, to talk about, just sharing ideas and ways to connect after. Our NSLE team did a fantastic job in multiple ways on multiple levels, as we've been saying in the podcast, in helping people communicate and connect. And I could just do that all day. I mean, maybe our convention needs to be 2 weeks long. I'm just putting that out there. Maybe we need like to just take over a hotel for a month and live together. But I just thought that was so wonderful, and that in this, the side conversations like we've been mentioning that we've all been having, like sitting next to someone I don't know as we're getting seated for ritual practice. I mean, we're talking about tell me about your chapter, and what are some of your favorite things, and what are some of your challenges, and doing that as we're getting tech settled for business sessions. I mean, those are just so rich, and I crave more of that. But I know that it's my responsibility too to, as we've said, seek that out with other presidents along the way, and other alumni chapter leaders now, after the fact. So just to kind of build on what Rachel said too, just making more opportunities and connecting, but more NSLEs all the time, please and thank you.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, this is a little teaser. I mean, we're certainly on momentum, on a roll, momentum wise, on the lifetime engagement team. And we do have some big plans to enhance the support and the engagement, not only of alumni chapters, but alumni in general. More programs we're hoping along the lines of like Alpha O Adventures and ever blooming Napa. So as things come together and I am at liberty to share, this will be one of the first audiences that I share with. So stay tuned.
Yay.
That's great.
That's exciting.
We've talked quite a bit today about engagement and different ways that that can happen. And one of the things that I have missed a lot is, in alternate years to conventions, we used to have leadership institutes. And long before that, we used to have, in the days before the network, we had regional meetings.
Yeah.
And I think those are lost opportunities now. And I imagine that the fraternity isn't going to go back to those kind of things on a formal basis, but there's nothing to prevent alumni chapters to get together. I remember back in the day, there was what was it called, the Northeast Weekend, and a lot of chapters would get together and have a weekend, and kind of talking like Sara was talking earlier about what's going to happen in Alaska, where lots of individuals come together for a long weekend. There's no reason in the world why collegiate chapters couldn't plan things like that, or state days or province days or whatever. And I just think the more opportunities we can generate to actually be together in the same place at the same time, it would be very much to our benefit, and not just rely on the international organization to put those things together.
So, Ginger, I'm sensing we're right back to our initial conversation of how everyone's going to come to Alaska in 2026 and hang out together and have all that sisterhood, right?
Sounds good.
So I was actually just texting Dana and saying, when are we going to see Sara?
Send us the
All right.
date, Sara.
All right, we'll work on that. But I
Wouldn't you
love
be
that.
surprised if a lot of us showed up? Oh my goodness.
Just come on. That would be awesome. But you're exactly right. We have such an amazing fraternity staff and fraternity leadership, and just phenomenal women who are inspiring ambition left and right. And we have a responsibility to do that as well. And I love this. I love our getting together for this podcast and brainstorming, but all the brainstorming I've been seeing happening in the last month since convention, that that we can think outside the box. We can think differently, and we can look back to old state days and regional conventions and say, how can we do something differently, and take that initiative on ourselves as leaders to work together, and just appreciate Marina so much, because we're building a little regional connection just over the last year on the West Coast and the Northwest Coast. And then there's so many opportunities for chapters to do that. And even just this morning, I opened up my Instagram and saw that, two alum chapters had gotten together for a dinner event over the weekend. And like, that's just great. Like, let's expand our boundaries and enjoy our location-based boundaries, but expand our boundaries to enjoy sisterhood in all the different ways that we can, through technology, through travel, through just personal connections, and convention really set an excellent foundation for that, I think.
And since we're going to be in Louisville, I want a fascinator to wear with every outfit.
Yes,
I do.
we are
I just do.
already planning that crafting event. I'm certain of it. I think, did you see my post that I actually dreamed about that, Dana? I think you commented.
I did see that.
Yes,
I did see
I
that.
dreamed about fascinator crafting for Louisville. So the gift of prophecy, it must happen.
Yeah. Well, Pi Beta Phi had their convention there this summer, and I stalk all of the other NPC groups because they're always looking for good ideas and for every group. And fascinators were involved. Like, I think it was the check-in gift. Yes, I think it was the check-in gift. But I want to take it one step further, and every outfit, because I love a good hat or a little whatever, and we don't wear them often enough. So I want to take full advantage.
Yeah, when they announced we were going to be in Louisville, the first thing in my head was like, oh my goodness, I can drive. I don't have to get my suitcase under 50 pounds. So
I think it's going to be incredible because so many parts of the country can drive. I mean, people from St. Louis can drive. It is going to be so accessible for so many sisters. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is just my wish, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have 900 attend.
Amazing.
Great.
Be awesome.
I'm just fascinated by the answers that we got to that last question, because there's no way you could have known what the other group talked about, but it's the same themes. Spaciousness for free time at convention, more opportunity to see each other and learn from each other, and those bring back state days. That came up in our other conversation, and I think we absolutely need to make it happen now. I was like sitting here and listening to you all, and I just don't believe it, because Dana didn't hint at any of it, and she's the only other person who knows what's in the other episode at this point.
We didn't even have to take the bait because there was no bait. I guess it's just an indication that great minds run in the same channels.
At convention, we introduced a new place, a new tool for storing ideas and sharing ideas and swapping. And one of the tools, Rhonda is leading the charge on this, Rhonda Evans, is an updated state day in a box, basically, how to plan a state day. And then, so yes, that's the Glow, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's a new site that we've created. We've sent the link to all the alumni presidents now, and all alumni chapter officers are invited to use it. We're storing so many things there. I know, for a variety of reasons, some of our sisters find fulfilling the promise very challenging, and I find the Glow much more accessible. It's just something that we created, but that is one of the tools that will be making its debut soon. Because absolutely, these opportunities to meet and develop where again, I live out in the Western US, and the closest alumni chapter to us is the Greater Sacramento Valley Alumni Chapter. Sacramento is about 2 hours from the Reno area. And typically we get together once a year. Usually it's for a hike. We'll meet like halfway somewhere in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And it's really interesting how the one year that we didn't do it, both groups are like, when are we going to do it? When are we going to get together with the other group? And it's just so nice to meet other women that we share this incredible bond with. And do that with some of our local lovely ladies.
Sounds great.
Thank you all so much for coming on our Sea to Sky podcast and sharing your experience, your convention experience. We saw small windows into what it can be and what it is. And I really hope this is an inspiration for others to really seek out opportunities and put in what they want to take out of their experience with AOPI and everything else they're involved in. Thank you so much for all of your conversation and insight.
Marina, thanks to you and Dana for your leadership putting this together. What a great thing for Sea to Sky to do with your podcast. And I just want to say how much I respect everyone on this call and just have the greatest amount of fondness for all of you. And I learn something from each of you every time we get together, and look forward to more connections with all of you on this panel, but also to the podcast listeners, because I think that's a huge takeaway from convention, that that we need to be in connection, we need to be in fellowship with each other, and that we're all craving that. So let that be a challenge to you.
Very well said. Thank you so much for doing this, Dana and Marina. And it was a joy participating with all of you. And I'm taking away a lot from this conversation. So thank you all very much.
Sure. And I hope to see all of you in Louisville. Fascinator or not, it's okay.
Or before then.
Yes, before would be fabulous.
Yes, definitely sharing our takeaways has got me really excited for 2027, and I can't wait to see you all there.
Thanks for listening to Sea to Sky podcast. For Sisters by Sisters with Marina Thompson and Dana Moreland. Till next time.